All right, we're back. JuddzBudz Budz, episode 150. That's a round. I don't know. Who cares? It's a number. Wayne Gretzky plus, I think Adam Raska wore 51 when he had like a 4 or 5 game cup of coffee last year. I think he wore number 51 in Minnesota. So we'll go with that. As always, host spoke Z, joined by my good buddy, Mr. at State of Hoppy. Hoppy, how we doing?
We're doing good, man. A lot going on lately. We went out last week, Isha and I, and we've got the second iteration of Tourney Flow coming out in a couple weeks that we just brewed, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. We're also doing more stupid beer stuff across all the channels. So if anyone cares at all, go check that out. If not, ignore that I ever said it. Pretty easy. I got a fun one here for you, Z. I just feel like you'll weirdly think it's funny. Back channel has a Mexican lager called Cornelius.
What?
It's a corn lager. Yep, I was right.
Correct. I don't know what I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't Cornelius, that's for sure.
Oh, I know. That's why I went to it right away. I wasn't even going to ask. Take a guess. You're like, I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, I guess you can't say, you can't really guess and like with the intention of it being funny anymore. Like, yeah, I would get. I mean, I wouldn't actually get in trouble, but people would be like, all right, dickhead. Sure.
Just say Shane Gillis told you to.
Yeah. Well, and then when the answer is Cornelius and it's like, oh, fuck. Okay.
I was way off.
Moving on. That's fun though, dude. Those are always interesting.
Yeah, we got some other fun like beer partnerships in the works. We're gonna be doing like a monthly hit, I'm pretty sure, with did I take you to Brixworth? No, I don't think so.
No.
It's like a Detroit style pizza, incredible wings, and they've got really, really good beer too. So it's just like hits on everything.
Yeah, I like that. That sounds nice.
I don't know. You're an American piece of shit. You'd love. They got a Big Mac pizza.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It feels like that's like a lot though.
I never know. It's not like a 2-tiered like pizza with buns in between. So it's pickles, it's like the hamburger, and then it's like the Big Mac sauce. That's really the extent of the Big Mac. Oh, there are sesame seeds too, actually. So
it's like sprinkled on there.
Yeah, you gotta Salt Bay.
Oh, terrible. I hate that. That's interesting. What's your like favorite style of pizza though?
That's tough, dude. It's really funny. 3 sports towns that I dislike are like the main pizza styles, right? Like there's New York style, there's Chicago style, and there's Detroit style. As far as sports go, I guess Detroit's the one that I dislike the least. Pizza is definitely situational. Like if you're ready to go into a coma, like Chicago deep dish is ridiculous. Also, if you have any like lactose issues, just avoid. Like, I had some people being like, "Oh yeah, I'll just get it with no cheese." I'm like, "Why? Like, just don't go." Detroit style is definitely the happy medium, and like the way that they do it at Brixworth too, they have like a really good outer crust. Like it's perfect. He was telling us that it's they call it the Corona, the crown. I'm like, dude, you better be careful with that shit. Like, did you see what happened to Corona? Like the beer company almost went under just because it was coronavirus, right? Oh so I do really like Detroit style when it's done right. And I'd say Brixworth and Rectangle are really the only ones around here that I've had success with. But Brixworth is awesome. And then New York is like always safe and easy as long as you get like a good one. Like there's a handful of decent ones in the Twin Cities, but I gotta imagine like out there in Boston, like people don't even acknowledge Chicago and Detroit style, right?
No, there's a little. I mean, more Chicago than Detroit. Ironically enough, right next to the Drop and me by extension, like there's Detroit Pizza Company. It's just like it popped up like a year and a half ago. It's really good. It's just shocking, expensive as fuck. Like good. It's like good, but it's like it's not justifying how ridiculously expensive a fucking pizza is. But Detroit style is interesting because I think like if you fuck it up a little bit, you're like, oh god, like that kind of like it's like it ruins the whole pot. Like it's just like, all right, well, I was excited about like I think there's just a wide degree of variance of like how good it can be.
For me, it's
like, all right, that was just weird.
It's less about the cook too, where it's like there's Detroit styles that are like way too airy and like almost flat. There's other ones that are like thick, and it's like, okay, this is Chicago, right? If you get the right balance, like Detroit is really that happy middle. But for me, the bigger question, I'm curious for you, what's the most important factor of a pizza? Is it the cheese? Is it the sauce? Is it the toppings? Is it the crust?
I usually lean sauce.
That's so
because like if it's like drowning, you're like, what the fuck is this?
I care about that, but I also just care more like how good is the sauce, right? Yeah. Like I don't need it to be spicy, but I want just like a little zip or zing to it. Just like something that lets you know it's there. I don't want it to be too light. Definitely don't want it caked on, but I guess I would take that over not enough sauce. But I don't know. It's all pretty damn important.
Yeah, no, they're all, every component's critical there. But I'll tell you what, though, I will die on this hill. We gotta start giving New York less credit for everything. The bagels
is it Boston?
I'm like, this isn't just New York versus Boston thing. It is insane that like New York literally is just like, well, you think you could pizza? I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, go fuck yourself. Like, it's like, oh, congratulations. Like, your pizza's good. Like, yeah, you can get good pizza anywhere.
So happy for you.
But it's like New York style. And then the bagels thing pisses me off. I'm like, bro, it's bagel. I mean, yeah, they're good. And like a fresh baked, like a bagel is just really good. But like, calm down, entire fucking state of New York. Like it's like annoying as shit where it's like, oh, like
wait, hang on. Do you care about the state or the city? I gotta imagine this is way more the city.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and they're the loudest about their fucking bagels and pizza,
low key
and everything.
It's not like a true style, but some of the best pizza I've ever had was in Buffalo.
Yeah,
like legitimately really good pizza.
I believe that. But yeah, no, it drives me nuts when people like go on to New York for the weekend, like around here. Like they're like, cannot wait to get some pizza. And I'm like, shut up, like fucking Jesus Christ. If that's what you're looking forward to.
I mean, dude, that's brutal. For sure. That's for sure just Patrick Mahomes like trying to not give any credit to like all of the Boston places that Dave's reviewed because apparently he hates Barstool, which is hilarious to me.
That's fine. That makes sense.
But it's one of those things, man, where like it'd be different if they were like maliciously going after him or being dicks. Like all they did is say that some of the stuff that his wife and brother have done are ridiculous when they absolutely are ridiculous. Like they haven't like done anything crazy. And it's like it's not like Dave and Big Cat are writing these reviews. Like this is coming from like whoever wants to blog it, and he's like, yeah, I don't like them. Poopy pants. Yeah. And then we saw what happened. The most boring football game that's ever existed.
How did you watch the whole thing? Did you make it to the end?
No, I didn't. I made it way further than I should have. I made it maybe halfway into the fourth, maybe even a little sooner than that. And then finally I just like looked over to Laura. I'm like, all right, if they score again, or if like Kansas City turns it over again, we can turn it off. And like literally within 30 seconds it happened. I'm like, all right, we're going to watch Ink Master, I guess.
Yeah, dude. Like, so I think, as you know, I don't give a fuck about football. I watched 0 full games this year. Like, obviously did not torture myself to watch like a Patriots game this year. Although apparently they lost in very funny ways, which is always hilarious. And then they win a game and their coach gets fired, which rocks. Like that's so funny to me. But and like the only reason I even watched the Super Bowl this year, to be honest with you, is because I was like at my buddy's place to watch it. And one of the dudes there is like a big Giants fan, so he wore a shirt that was the GM of the Giants was like, I'm gonna have a tough time sleeping at night if Saquon goes to Philly. he wore a shirt that just said that, but he was doing like color commentary, but like bitching the whole game, and it was very fun, but like not annoyingly, like very funny.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the best. But my God,
better or worse than the Montgomery shirt?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had to retire. Like that, his shirt, the Saquon shirt, that's gonna live. I mean, that lives in infamy. Like that is forever.
You just said that is incredible. Saquon.
What did I say?
Saquon.
Well, whatever.
The emphasis on the wrong syllable.
That's fine. But like his shirt is permanent. Like that's gonna be a good. Like I had to retire mine. It was good for 1 year. Then he gets fired, so I had to retire the shirt. Yeah. But dude, that was at no point was that like fun. Like it was funny. Like it was a lot of funny shit that happened.
When did you know it was over though?
Dude, that first Mahomes pick, I was like, what the like See, I was like
I was stubborn.
I was being annoying so like where I was at my buddy's place, his wife, her whole family's from Philly. They're big Eagles fans or whatever. And I was just fucking with her the whole time. I was like, you got to think it might be a mistake for Philly to go up this big, this early. The flags that are be coming out in the third and fourth quarter, they're gonna be insane. And it just never came to fruition. But even with like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I was like, I mean, is it a mistake to be winning by this much right now? You know, like it might be, maybe Hurts should have thrown a pick six that last play at the end of the first half, you know? Maybe he should have just mixed that in and keep it close. But no, they were terrible start to finish. Watching Travis Kelce, I think he threw like 3 times. Very funny. Kendrick Lamar, that was the biggest hater move of all time. Loved it. Loved that. Even
I didn't even watch that part.
The halftime show is whatever, but the fact that he said Drake's name and made a face at the camera was outrageous. Okay. So petty. I aspire to be that much of a hater one day.
That just sounds incredible. Like way too much effort.
It was so funny though.
Well, no, I'm just saying I don't even aspire for that because that's just a lot of work.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, it's true. I don't like working at all or putting in any effort in anything. So that's a good point. But dude, actually, you'll be shocked to hear this too. The one thing that really annoyed me is how many people kept being like, "Oh, so there you go, Mahomes can't be in the conversation." I'm like, okay, like I get it. Like even I was like, all right, I'm from fucking New England, and I'm not like this is like now insufferable. How many people are saying, "Oh, well, now we can't put him in that conversation." Like, dude, all right, like. Fuck off. Like this is annoying now.
It's just that it's not there yet.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Hey, if I was a statement. If I was a Patriots fan, I would probably be doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, if I actually gave a fuck about football, I probably would have been the most insufferable.
Yeah,
but like
we can hit the pause button now. Like those discussions don't happen. Now it's like let's see what he does for the next 10 years to see if it's a real discussion. This would have solidified it and been like, all right, yep, he's probably gonna pass Brady.
Yeah, it's the longevity thing is
really dude, Brady shouldn't have been a part of that Super Bowl at all.
He was not ready.
His cheeks scared the crap out of us.
Dude, you know where I've landed with Tom Brady now? Like anytime he is on camera talking or just like I guess speaking, doing like color commentary or whatever, it's like he's a robot trying to convince you that he's a human being. And it is like he's like just the most chat GPT talk of all time. Like I'm just like, are you just trying to convince me that you're a real boy? Like I don't like. What do you like? Fucking, you're weird. All right, it's fine.
Did you see the commercial? His batteries ran out.
It's unbelievable. But like, dude, I just love the fact that there's all this hype about this game. They got the dog shit kicked out of them, and then. The Gatorade shower with 3.5 minutes left of the game, and Kenny Pickett comes in to play quarterback for a few snaps. Just a true and utter shit kicking, the likes that I don't think anyone could have possibly seen coming. But my God, was it funny! So it was a terrible fucking game, not a great watch, but a funny watch because a lot of funny shit happened.
Yeah, for sure, and I think. And I was in and out because I tuned out pretty fast. I think I only saw one commercial that entertained me the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. Those weren't. Yeah, I mean, there was a whole lot of blah, but it was funny.
Taylor Swift breakup songs are going to be great.
I saw a funny tweet. It was like halfway through the third quarter. Someone was like, "Taylor's already boarded her flight to the parking lot," which was, was like, that is just, I was like, "Oh god, oh god."
That's yeah, good. Oh man, yeah. Whatever. Off the Super Bowl, on to I guess hockey things. We can start Minnesota Wild stuff here. I think we got to lead with the most recent game. Minnesota Wild somehow, like, that looked so bad. It couldn't have started worse against the Islanders. And then the MVP of the Minnesota Wild finally stepped up, did his thing.
Tony D is so back, like a true jackass. So he put the puck in his own net twice that game because one of the other ones went off of him. Dude, and then I remembered it was either his first or second game when they played Carolina. First shift, the puck went off him into the fucking Islanders net in that game too. It's the third time the puck's got off him into the Islanders net, and let me tell you, he stinks. He looks like shit. Oh, it's so funny. And like that own goal that he scored, it was clean. Like
his form was impeccable.
What a shot, from in tight. Like I couldn't believe. No chance. I could not believe it. Like, because it was very confusing. Like watching in real time, I was like, "How the fuck did that end up in the net?" And then the replay, just like no one touched him either. He's like, threw it in his own net. What a goal! And then just the onslaught from there. Well, it was like 5 minutes where they really poured it on, but like they looked fucking awful that game. I thought they were gonna like take off because Rossi gets that one early, and then immediately the Islanders respond like less than a minute later, and it did not look good. At no point did they like have any. Like I don't know if there was another 5 or 10 minutes outside of that flurry of goals, and even then, like. One was a deflection. One Tony D scored himself. Like they just didn't look great. But I mean, the other day they scored 6 goals to get the job done. But like if you're the Islanders, they come in hot 8-2 in their last 10, pushing to get a wild card spot. That had to have been unbelievably deflating. And of course, it's Tony D that scores twice on your own net. That sucks. But that was a weird one where it was like, I feel like they should not be even. They should be down by like 10. Because at one point, like I think the Islanders had like 12 straight shots on goal. But shout out Tony D, the MVP. Great player.
The best move Guerin has made all year was Lou signing Tony DeAngelo.
Yep. So 2 legends, Ryan O'Reilly and Tony DeAngelo, 2 Minnesota Wild legends, dude.
I'm going to be pretty insufferable when it comes to the Ryan O'Reilly jokes. Like it's never going to stop.
That's me.
I mean, I got the jersey. It's solidified. In fairness, then actual Wild MVP, like Matt Boldy, at least looked the part, right? We feel okay about that going into the break.
Yeah, no, his last couple of games he's looked really good. I mean, the Carolina game too. And that was a huge win for them. That was another weird one where it was like. I feel like, especially last couple of years, that last like 2 minutes of that third period where it was like all Carolina, they held firm still. And I mean, Gustafsson came up massive with a few big time saves, which is also good to see. I feel like he's been up and down like last like 10 or so games maybe. But even then, like even he came out and made some big saves. But like that onslaught for the last 2 minutes of that game, the fact they were able to like just keep it together and pull it out. That was an impressive win, obviously. Man, I tell you though, like Carolina, I don't know what the deal is, but like even with Rantanen, I feel like they're gonna run, like they're still just gonna hit the postseason. Just that style of just relentless hockey. I don't know how you do that for 82 games and expect to make a deep run. Like, it's crazy to me, like how fucking hard they go for 60 minutes, 82 games a year. But yeah, I don't know. The Rantanen thing's interesting too, which we'll be able to like blend that into the Four Nations talk, because that's something that's going to be interesting for me to watch.
Yeah, those of you that are, I guess, whether you're watching live. Oh, do we have a little bit of a lag here?
A little bit.
Oops. Whatever. Yeah, for those watching live or listening on podcast, at the end of this live recording, we're actually going to be recording this week's Fellowship of the Rink as well, featuring an interview that we already banked with Scott Wheeler, but Joe Smith taking off for Portugal during Four Nations. Lucky him. So got Z riding shotgun with me there. That's where a lot more of the prospect talk is going to be, both from him and the interview with Scott Wheeler. But stay tuned on that. And yeah, the Rantanen thing actually will probably be covered a little bit more in the hot take segment on that one. All right. So DeAngelo and Boldy, joint MVP. Got to talk about a guy that got a lot of hate. Vinnie Hinostroza. If you saw the comments on Russo's article when he got claimed, like people were ready to burn things because he was going to be part of the Wild. Weird. Things worked out okay.
Yeah. It was like, was it the first period, the first game that he scores? I mean, like, whatever. You can say whatever you want about the goal, but I mean, I was curious to see, because I mean, especially with Hines recently, or not recently, this whole year, like outside of the top six, actually, I guess realistically the first three lines, like a lot of those guys that either come up or whatever, like get claimed, like the ice time is pretty low. I think he played like 17 and a half minutes against the Islanders too. And I mean, at this point, like with how many injuries they have, and now Eriksson next, another one, great. Again, but like, I was curious to see like how much he'd actually like be on the ice. But I mean, he's been fine. And I like, is he signed through next year?
That's a good question. I'll find that right now. But
I'm surprised how much anger there was about that though. Like it was like,
yeah,
making like what, like 800, if that.
Yeah. His contract, it was just signed this summer. So yeah, his 2-year deal will go next year too. It's gonna be.
That's the thing that's interesting to me is like, all right, well.
I mean, worst case, you just waive him, right? Like,
right.
But I don't want this because I'm not hating on the player like so many others are. But imagine being claimed by a team right as your good friend Ryan Hartman gets a 10-game suspension. What if he just takes Ryan Hartman's spot? Like Hartman doesn't get to play anymore this year because of this situation, because Hinostroza comes in, plays so well, don't have room for both, and Hartman's just chilling.
Feels likely. It's likely. I forgot they were like close buddies too.
I gave you the picture.
No, I know. I'm just like once it came up, that's when I was like, oh shit, that's right. He's also played for like 5 teams the last 6 years. But yeah, I mean, like it's at least as far as this year goes, with where they're at with injuries. I mean, this guy, he's played over 300 games. He's had a couple of real good years. Obviously, he had some health issues last couple of years, but like works hard. He's got some offensive skills. Like he can score. Like
nice guy.
Felt like a pretty like not crazy like waiver wire pickup for free. I don't know if it's just like the fact that he has another year on his deal that people are like, that's another fucking contract. I mean, but like again, same thing. Like you could just nothing is binding as far as like if you. Yeah, you can waive him again. Like, I don't know. But, like, I don't know. Felt like a pretty reasonable pickup, especially, again, for free. You give up nothing. He makes less than $1 million. Like, he's an NHL player. He's played a lot of games. He scored goals. Like, he can give you a little bit of something in your middle six, probably. But, yeah, and obviously, first game scores a goal, which is nice. But that was an interesting pickup. I didn't see it coming. But, yeah, I was surprised. Like you said, I was shocked with like not just like the amount, but like the level of like anger. It was like, oh shit, okay, this feels weird. But
Wild fans haven't had anything to be like overly angry about in a while, besides the home performance, but we don't even need to go any further into that. Last obligatory topic that we cover every week for some reason or another is just Marco Rossi's existence. Like the guy just keeps on performing. He keeps on producing. He keeps on doing the thing. I genuinely am lost as far as where he fits into things. Like, it should be a no-brainer decision to bring him back. Every hint we're getting from Russo and Joe is like, Guerin may not feel the same way. At this point, I don't know what more the poor kid can prove. And if he does get traded, it better be for like a very reasonable commensurate return. Like, if we sell short on him, I'm going to be really upset.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously I'm not ready to just assume that it won't happen. But I mean, like you said, I don't really know what more this kid has to prove. I mean, he's got 47 points already this year. He's 2 goals away from tying last year's obvious career high, but like, he is doing it in every situation at 5v5. Like, he's on the ice, like, again, in every situation. It's crazy too, the fact that you've got like a 5'9" center who's not the most fleet of foot, which like usually automatically that's like going to make your life incredibly difficult playing center in the National Hockey League. But like last year, obviously steps up, performs big time, and it was like, all right, how much better is there going to, like, how much better can we see, or how big of a step can he take? Like, honestly, like coming into the year, I was like, hey, if he puts up 25 and 35, that's going to be amazing. Right now, he's in 56 games, he got 19 and 28. Like, given the limitations just in terms of like his overall profile and build as a player, like what he is doing is incredibly impressive. And like, again, this is something maybe we'll talk about more the other, I guess, the fellowship episode, but like with the prospects they have right now, and like young players that are coming in, there is an interesting kind of like group of players where it's like, maybe you don't look at any one of them as like a prototypical first line center, but first of all, you got someone like Kaprizov, who absolutely is the primary offensive driver on whatever line he plays on. Boldy can do it. People are very mad at him. The way the last like however many games have gone, but like they also are able to just do it by committee, and they do have plenty of players who can, like, again, like, trying not to say too much about the interview with Wheeler, but like, one of the things that Wheeler brought up was like, when you look at a guy like Daniil Yurov, like where his play took off as a center in the KHL the last 2 years, like, is he your prototypical number one center? Probably not. But at the same time, like, they realistically do have, like, either here now or in their pipeline, several guys you would probably profile as a really good 2C. And again, with like the talent level they have at the wings and how much offense they can get, like those like driving offense, like, in every position. And you've got, again, a guy like Yurov can play all 3-4 positions. Like, they have a way to do it by committee that not many like, there's not a whole lot of prospect pools or just like teams with young players like that diverse as far as skill sets go. So for me, like, it's crazy to think like, yeah, we're not really sure if Rossi's going to hit like first line center production as far as like your prototypical first line center in the NHL. Let's go take a big swing in free agency at like a 28, 29-year-old guy for like 8-9 million a year. Like, that's like, it's silly to me to just like do that. Like, that's even more risky, especially when like with where they're at, some of the contracts they've already signed the next couple of years, while the cap is going up, they're still locked into a couple. Like, I don't know what a bridge deal for Marco Rossi would look like, but if it's not going to be like ridiculously tilted in his favor, I don't know how you don't just do that. Like, it's crazy to me. So I don't know. Like he has just been unbelievable from start to finish this year. And it's again like even games where like he might have a rough first 2 periods, he gets sat down for a few shifts. The next shift he does something like every time. It's unbelievable. And again, like 47 points this year, only 10 of those on the power play. Like he's just doing it regardless of who he's playing with, whatever situation he's in. And it's not like he's just like getting empty net goals. Like he is tying goals or tying games late. Like he is on the ice in every situation. Like he's giving you a little bit of everything. So, I mean, and he's still super young. So like you got to think there's even more there still. So I don't know if they're selling, they better be selling fucking high. That's true, Cole. That's true. Rossi for DeAngelo.
Who's the better goal scorer?
DeAngelo right now. For Minnesota is a goal per game guy.
Cosgrove, Rossi plus Ogren. And 2026 first for Pettersson. Depending on which Pettersson we're talking about, I think the Canucks say no thank you. Now, if it's defensive stalwart Elias Pettersson, I think they say yes.
Obviously.
I think Pettersson's in a different tier. I think it would take more, and I don't think that Guerin has the stomach for that big of a contract with some of the things he's still trying to sort out. But I would not be mad if he was traded for. I'd be very okay with it. Well, let's get into it then. Really the only thing we can talk about here for the next 2 weeks for the Wild, unless we get some weird news that Kaprizov has healed like Wolverine and is already back. Let's talk Four Nations. A lot of comments from the chat on this, so I'll just start throwing some of those up before we go down any specific path. Well, this one's actually funny. Horror Docs, I'm guessing you got this one from Russo, the Three Nations Cup, since there was only 11 guys at practice for Finland today. What is happening with Team Finland? Everyone's hurt.
Dude, and like even some of the guys that are playing like are hurt, which like,
are you hurt or are you injured?
Like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, I kind of made the realization today. I've been trying to get like really pumped up. I'm sure maybe when the games start, I'll get in. Like, I gotta be honest, I don't give a fuck about this tournament. Like, it's gonna be fun to finally see the best, like some of the best on best, anyways. But it was just like with some of the injuries that have happened like last week or two, like guys pulling out, it's like annoying. But at the same time, like, I gotta tell you, I don't even know how much ESPN really started like put like advertising it at all, like other than like up until like a week ago, maybe. Like you started like seeing it.
Advertise it, dude. There's no more football.
Yeah, true.
People are like, all right, what can we watch now?
Like, there's a couple storylines that are like, yeah, I guess storylines, and then some of the line combinations that came up today, like as like guys were covering the practices or whatever, that are going to be funny or fun to like watch and fun to talk about. But like, the only silver lining is we finally have like some of the best players, most of the best players, I guess. And I was like going back and forth because like they still don't have the Russians playing, like guys like David Pastrnak are playing. Like it's like still some of the superstars aren't even like there's 4 teams, 3.5. I mean, I don't know. I just like the NHL is just bad at this stuff, dude. Like, I don't know. It sounds like the players are all really excited, so that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, the players clearly care, which is good. I'm guessing they care because they know this is somewhat of a tryout for the Olympics, right? But I don't know. Yeah, Cole, Canada's power play 1 is terrifying. Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid, Reinhart, Makar. How many pucks are there?
Yeah. Well, it was like they asked Marsh.
The basketball thing. It's always like, how many balls are there?
Yeah.
Oh, just one.
They asked Marchand today. They were like, "How would you defend that power play?" He's like, "I don't know. I'd probably just throw all 3 goalies in net and just ask them to do their job." But like, he's like, "I'm not even out there. Like, it's fun for me to watch. This is great. It's funny." But like, and it sounds like Crosby's like 50-50 whether he's gonna fucking play.
No, Crosby's playing. It's confirmed.
He's gonna play. Yeah. But like, I was annoyed that they didn't throw out the Nova Scotia line with Marchand, McKinnon, Crosby, the 3 best friends. That's annoying. That being said,
Who is playing on that one then?
It's Mark Stone instead of Marchand. So it's McKinnon, Crosby, Mark Stone, and the third line is Marchand, Braden Point, and Seth Jarvis.
They're gonna kill people.
You know what line's gonna be sneaky nasty? Well, not sneaky nasty. They're just ridiculous. Is Hagel, Cirelli, and Bennett on the fourth line? That's a problem.
Ooh.
That's a problem. Hagel is so fucking good. Like he has been unfucking believable this year.
I don't get many things right, but when everyone was so mad about that trade, I was like,
oh yeah,
why?
He's so good. He's
I didn't think he was this good, but I thought he was good.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's and Flyer Voracek, how far away is Finland from using Kiviharju on defense? Jesus.
Yeah, I should have pulled their. I couldn't even guess what they're going to do at this point. It's just like we don't have anyone. We have like 3 defensemen that are healthy that can play. But how about Drew Doughty getting added to that Canada back end, dude? I forgot that he had already come back. Like not already, but he's played 6 games this year. Like he's been back for 6 games. I went right before we jumped on here. I was like, how much has he played? Because he's always at the top of the league as far as like ice time, dude. First game he played like just under 24 minutes. He played 31 and a half the other night, 29, 28, 27. Like it's like he just immediately came back and started playing half the fucking game. He is nuts. But yeah, I don't know. But I was really thrown off when I was like, oh shit. Because I forgot that Drew Doughty had come back. And they're like, yeah, no, he's also going to play right in the 4 Nations tournament. I was like, Jesus, okay.
Yeah, and Joel Eriksson is too injured to play against the Islanders, but was healthy enough for a full practice today, per Ron.
That was weird, too, because it was Russo right before the Islanders game. It was like concerned that he'll be out beyond the 4 Nations, and then now he's played full practice. I have no idea anymore.
Pretty quick after the game, I think that it was like, okay, he just like tweaked something. It was precautionary. He's okay.
Yeah.
So
who knows?
Is it a weird spot for Bill Guerin to be in where it's like, I can't like really be too strong in telling my players not to play when I'm the GM that's opposing them?
Yeah.
Like, is that a tough area to navigate?
He goes down, he just kneecaps Eriksson before the 4 Nations. You're not going. You know what else is unbelievable? Even though Quinn Hughes is out for USA, which really sucks, that back end is still unbelievable. So they pulled up the pairs today: Slavin Fox, Werenski McAvoy, Hannafin Faber, and then Sanderson is the 7.
Yep.
In front of goaltenders Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, and Jeremy Swayman. That's unbelievable. Like the fact that you lose Quinn Hughes, but like, who we had? Oh, Jake Sanderson, who is so fucking good. He has been ridiculous this year in Ottawa. He is a big time reason that they are playing as well as they're playing. Like, I mean, he's another guy that plays 26, 27 minutes a night almost. Some fun line combos. We should talk about Matt Boldy playing with JT Miller and Brady Tkachuk. That was a fascinating third line.
I'm a big fan of this, and granted, Cole says Boldy with Brady Tkachuk and JT Miller might be a problem. Imagine Boldy starts playing like Tkachuk. Oh boy, I don't think that's anywhere in Matt Boldy's future. But damn, if he could even get a shred of it, I'd be thrilled.
Do you remember when he fought Bo Byram? Dude, he handled his business in that fight too. I was like, oh shit, he is throwing. I was like, all right, good for you. But dude, Team USA second line: Jake Gensel, Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes. Good. Yeah,
that's your second line.
Good Lord. So like, I'm gonna have to just like go and read through the line combos to get myself excited about this fucking tournament. Because like Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk first line, good Lord. Again, with Gensel, Matthews, Hughes, Tkachuk, Miller, Boldy. The fourth line's funny to me with Brock Nelson, Vincent Trocheck, and Dylan Larkin / Chris Kreider. I was surprised. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't that surprised. I probably would have put Larkin where JT Miller was, but that's fine.
No. Shut your mouth.
I don't know.
Shut your mouth.
I don't know, more speed, but whatever.
I'm sorry. There is no world where I'm putting Larkin above JT Miller if I'm making the team, but I'll also never be in a position to make the team. So
it's true.
That's why we sit here and talk about it.
Yeah, it's sad that Tage Thompson, Clayton Keller aren't here. I would have really liked to see them too, but
I mean, Tage Thompson though, like no one really like. Do players even like him? I mean, you saw what happened when he got destroyed, and like the Buffalo players are like, "Okay, nothing to see here. We're good."
I mean, no one even
even consider.
Like it looked like they all looked over their shoulder, like, "Oh fuck."
Like it wasn't even like, "Oh, hold me back." It was like, yeah. Oh, bummer, dude. You should have watched out.
Hold me back. Like actually hold me. Let me at him. It was like, no, it was like, oh shit. Change. That was nuts, dude. In the season from hell in Buffalo, that was like the exclamation point where it was like, oh, your best player just got murdered. And everyone,
you know Jeff Merrick's bit, right?
No.
Like, do you know the beginning of the downfall of the Buffalo Sabres? They have not made the playoffs since one specific cataclysmic event. And I think you know.
I do know exactly what you're talking about.
Go ahead, tell me, because I know you take immense pride in it.
Well, it's tough now, given what happened last year. But Lucci's murdering Ryan Miller.
Yeah,
but it was very funny when they got on that fucking then fucking poor Paul Gostad had to fight Lucic the next year. Dude, it was so funny when they did that like during COVID. They did that like 2011 Stanley Cup team reunion over Zoom, and they just got fucking shit faced in 30 minutes. And like, we're on it. Like Chris, I think it was Chris. I was like, dude, you ruined the whole fucking organization. What the fuck, man? He was like, they got Eichel out of it. Like, who cares? It was so funny. Yeah. It's like poor Paul Gostad was puking before the next game. It was so funny.
New guy's over in the corner puking his guts out. Blah, blah.
Like, I shouldn't have been standing there.
Because you wanted to save a few pennies, and to me, it just doesn't get out. Mateo, Merrick had a good idea in the future. Just do 2 7-game series, one between USA and Canada, one between Sweden and Finland. Z, I'll let you go first on this, but I got opinions.
It would be interesting to see like how many games it would. I feel like USA Canada they would be actually no, all 7 games realistically, all 4 of those teams would just be going at each other like pissed off, because I mean especially Finland is a bunch of murderers, but I feel like people forget like Finland I mean like since I don't even know, but like they play hard, and like those international games, it's so weird because like IHF rules. Like you can't really do shit, but Finland runs around and they love it. And it's just like how they play. They like just throw like 400 hits a game. They go out, listen to metal, drink a million beers, and they're in the sauna at 6 a.m. Fine. Like, yeah, let's just do that every single night for every international tournament.
And until if they were fully healthy this go around, blue line aside, like, this is the best we've ever seen in Finnish hockey. Like their forward group is crazy. Goaltending's not a concern, but generally speaking, like when you look at them for a national competition or like World Juniors, are they the classic like highest floor, lowest ceiling team? Like they're never going to be bad, but they're like really never the best either. They just like if you don't give them your best game, they will beat you.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They just play fucking hard. If you want to play in the mud, they love playing, and like that's how like they will slow up the game. And the neutral zone against Finland like is miserable. Like that's where they excel. Again, like going back to that interview you did with Scott Wheeler, you talked about Kumpalainen. He's again a fascinating player in the fact that he moves 0.5 miles per hour, but his like transition rate, his success rate going through the neutral zone into the offensive zone is like 98%. He just doesn't lose the puck. Like he's just a big boy that can protect, and he's like agile but not quick. But like also defensively, they are miserable to play against. That's just been a staple of theirs forever. And like you watch Finnish Liga, it's the same thing. It's like kind of a tough watch, But it's just like a whole lot of mechanics, and I mean, they fucking hit everything that moves, and they love to slow the game down, and they're very, very good at it. I mean, like this year, they make it their way to the fucking gold medal game of the World Juniors and take USA to overtime. Like, this is just what they do. Like, it's crazy. Like, even in years like this year, like you looked at the Finnish roster going to the World Junior specifically, it was like a lot of things are gonna have to go right, and then you remember it's Team Finland. They're gonna play the same way no matter what their roster looks like, and they know how to win with that. And like they've won a couple golds over the last like decade or so. So like they're always there. It's like no matter what the roster looks like, it's always a tough game just because that style sucks to play against. But this year is gonna be weird. I don't like this year. It's the first Four Nations. Yeah, this is compared to years past, this Four Nations team is gonna be yeah, hopefully.
Just based on name, first off, write out the number 4. Don't have a dash between face and off because no one has ever spelled face off with a hyphen in it. That's crazy. But also, I'm with you. Like, I don't really care. And I know the players do because it hasn't happened in a while and this is their audition. But like, dude, the Olympics is what everyone cares about. Straight up. Hoptics chimes in. You think Brodin feels disrespected by being named as the 7th defender? He should be in the second pairing at the lowest.
Oh, I saw another tweet that had him playing with Hedman.
Maybe Hoptics made it happen.
Yeah, maybe he talked. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, if he's a 7th D, that's probably.
He won't get hurt.
Yeah. I was gonna say because I saw like there was lines that he was playing with. He was first pair with Hedman at the line rushes this morning, and I was like,
it's pretty fun.
The first thing I thought it was just like finally, the NHL fans in general will just get to witness Jonas Brodin, which is crazy because realistically, they've probably watched him like skate backwards faster than the best player on their team, and you usually shut them down when healthy.
You know, McDavid's like, God damn it,
that son of a bitch. No, he's playing with Hedman. Fuck you.
Thank God he's not an American.
Yeah, no, I thought again. I think he is playing with Hedman on that first. But that's what I saw this morning at practice or whatever. But who knows?
That's very fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, like he should be with Carlson. Like that's the perfect pairing.
Yeah.
Like, all out offense, psychopath, and no one is getting past me. Brodin.
I do like. It's always funny just like looking back at before that big injury that Dumba had, how free Dumba was to just run wild offensively. And then just fucking Jonas Brodin was like, you go do that. I will cover everybody. And again, I'm going to outskate everybody backwards. Like he's fucking he's just so good. I will never forget too when he signed that $6 million year contract. That contract was 6 sheets a year. People that had never watched Minnesota obviously were like, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, oh, you have no idea.
No, like, but like outsider view, like if Brodin played for like, I don't even know at that point, like if he played for the Calgary Flames, I would just be like, $6 million for that dude? What?
Well, I remember like someone, because like when they signed that contract, I was like, fuck yeah, lock him in however many years you can get. Like, I don't care what the number is, like lock that dude in. And some random guy fucking DM'd me, which is, by the way, a very weird thing to feel like I need to DM this random stranger I don't know on the internet. Hey, you dumbass. He's never had like more than 22 points in a season, $6 million a year. LOL. You're a fucking douchebag. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, holy shit. It's like, I don't even. This is just funny. Like I was like, that's what you got mad about? I was like, you're not even. I think it was like a fucking Panthers fan. It was crazy. I
just want to give him a hug.
On edge too. I was like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I hope Brodin is with Hedman and he plays a ton, just so like people can watch him and appreciate him.
I know there's no bad pairing for USA, but like, who do you wish Faber was playing with?
I kind of would have loved to see him with Werenski. Dude, what Werenski's doing this year in Columbus is fascinating. Like, when you talk about a guy turning defense into offense, like, there have been a few games where I'm just like watching him defend like off the rush, and he managed like half of his poke checks are literally him like timing it so well that like he's poke checking it into space with the intention of skating onto it and immediately like getting a break. Like he's created breakaways from like defending off the rush with a poke check like 15 times. He's unbelievable. And like obviously the last however many years he just keeps getting hurt. So fingers crossed he stays healthy because he has been one of the most fun players to watch this year on a very fun team to root for this year. So, like, shout out Columbus. But, like, what he's doing is fucking unbelievable. He's so good. Mm-hmm. Like, he is sick. And I'm so glad he's healthy.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. And on the Brock Faber track, for our friends at MNW Prospects, MNW Young Guns, you'll find them under either moniker, regardless of what social media you go look at. They wanted us to address real quick, specifically from the Scott Wheeler interview that will drop on Wednesday with Fellowship of the Rink, and I guess Z and myself, talking about the potential for Buium to step in and be similar to Brock Faber when he jumped in with the Wild at the end of the very sad end of the Gopher season. We're not going to get into that. Enjoy.
I don't know if he can have the same impact that maybe Faber did right away. Maybe they're different kind of players. I don't know if you see that. Like maybe kind of unfair to expect him to come in and be right in the playoffs and then next year be Faber.
I try to always temper my expectations and not get carried away. And I try not to fuel the fire with fans, but I truly believe that Zeev's ready to come in and contribute this spring once his season at Denver's over and play in the playoffs and be a good player right away. Now, is he going to play 30 minutes like Brock Faber did as a rookie? Probably not, but no, I can't remember the last time a defenseman other than Brock Faber, and although Lane Hudson has played some pretty ridiculous minutes this year, but even like Aaron Ekblad wasn't playing those minutes. Rasmus Dahlin wasn't playing those minutes. Owen Power did right away play 24, 25 minutes a night in Buffalo. But I could Zeev Buium next year play 20 minutes a night for them and then you've got Faber playing 26, 27 and Zeev slots in immediately on your second pairing and immediately on one of your two power plays. I absolutely think he's capable of being that kind of a player right away.
Fans are going to take that and run. So for our friends at MNW Prospects, we'll get into Buium here in a second, but reasonable question from Cole. Who's out then? Chisholm? I feel like Chisholm's already out, sadly. I don't support it, but I don't know. But go ahead, Z. How do you feel about that sentiment? Because I know, like, you and I generally preach caution just because Buium's younger. He's also not the same player as Faber. Way higher upside. I think we can all agree. But, like, talk about it. What's the outlook for Buium this spring?
Yeah, so, like, what made me specifically in that interview with Wheeler, it kind of got the wheels turning as far as like being a little bit more optimistic is the idea that if he can come in and you can have him on that first power play, and just given the fact that he would either be playing with Faber or Spurgeon, probably Spurgeon, you're able to shelter his role defensively to the point where he can play a lot more with the puck. Again, I think for me, like this spring I'm still going to be very, very cautious about like how much I am willing to really like bank on him, like getting into that lineup in a playoff run or it's in the first round. And beyond or whatever, but like for next season, you obviously then you have the opportunity to kind of experiment. Like, can you put him and Faber together? I think at this point, Faber has just become one of the best like defensive defensemen, but even just like all around D-men in the league. Like how much he plays, the assignments he gets, how he like rarely has a game where like he just has a out and out rough game. Like he is just like established himself as a premier defenseman in this league. And like you probably, if you wanted to go like a Spurgeon, Middleton, Faber, Buium next year, you're probably not too concerned. I mean, like also Brodeen's around too, so there you go. I didn't even think about that too. So I guess it kind of at that point maybe he's playing more third pair, I guess. But I mean, but where I became more optimistic is the fact that like given the fact that you have Spurgeon and Faber there, and you probably at that point would like not need Faber to do as much offensively on the power play, and Buium can play more power play, more offensive, like just like with the puck in general, and let his game adjust to the NHL. Like as far as defending goes, it makes me more so optimistic that he can come up and actually be like an impact, at least offensively, from the back end. And I mean he's solid defensively in his own right as is. But if he's not having to go up against like, you know, what the other team's top 6 shift in, shift out, and you can like kind of ease him in, that makes me more optimistic that he can come in and make a pretty legit impact pretty quickly. This spring, again, I'm always going to be very, very cautious about jumping from the fucking like from NCAA to like playoff hockey. I think that's just like, why would you even do that to the kid unless he just comes in and does what Faber did, like literally. But like, again, very, very, very different player. But like super, super high upside, probably more upside as far as like just like factoring on the score sheet and everything. But given the fact that you can shelter his role as far as like what his matchups look like, what his role is defensively, like he's going to have more room to kind of like adjust to the NHL speed in terms of like his play with the puck. He's going to get some power play opportunities, and like that probably also like frees up Faber too. I mean, at this point, Faber's proved that he can play like 29 minutes a fucking night, but like, if you don't have to have him on that power play, that probably helps out the power play too. Even though Faber, again, he's proved that he can just be a factor at both ends of the ice. But that's the thing I started thinking about more is like he probably bumps Faber off that power play. In that way, he can kind of like let him adjust to the game a little bit more in his wheelhouse versus like, I mean, Faber like stepped onto the ice and they're like, all right, every top matchup, yeah, that's yours now. He's like, yeah, no problem. I don't think you have to do that with Buium.
Yeah. And for me too, like I'm going to call it this until Buium comes in and basically just like takes over the power play for good. Bringing him in to be exactly what we wanted Kalen Addison to be is perfect. Give him sheltered third pairing minutes and let him go out and cook on the power play. Like there's nothing wrong with that. He does not need to be a 20, 25 minute a night player. But if he comes in and belongs, like Billy's not going to send him down to make someone else happy. Like it is going to be a matter of he's got to freaking prove it, because we said it last year. We didn't think Faber was going to play in the playoffs, and he played well enough that Guerin had no choice. And look at that. He was our best goddamn player. I don't know. He's definitely not going to be playing the minutes and the meaningful role that Faber did, but I can absolutely see a world where he's playing round.
Well, it's interesting too, because like if he does prove that he can like run a power play at the NHL level better than like anyone the Wild have right now doing that, like he's still impacting the game in a huge fucking way for this team specifically. That's what's like so interesting about like this, like again, the prospect pool, the young players the Wild have already is just like there's so teams that have the ability or have like this diverse of a prospect pool, this much upside in their prospect pool that like, yeah, you might not think of this guy as like the top player at this position or whatever, but collectively they are fucking like, they are. That's, I mean, Wheeler talked about why he had him or the Wild like second overall in his rankings. But there's just so much, there's such a diverse skill set, and like, again, maybe not guys or not as many guys you think it was like a premier like 1 seed, whatever, first pair D-man, except I mean, at this point, Buium and Faber both like project to be like that anyways. But like the ability for them to throw out that many young, legit players that play at like top in the lineup is crazy. But again, it's gonna be interesting to see with Buium, like outside of the power play, who is his partner? Like, who is he playing with? Because if it's Bogosian, like I don't like that. like probably is Bogosian next year. Like that's what I'm like. Oh fuck. Okay. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm more looking at it like start of next season. But again, I do think once Denver's done, he'll obviously get a few games because I think that timing lines up pretty close. See how far Denver goes. They've been playing weird the last like month or two, month and a half. But like, I do think there is a legit path for Buium to be a legit impact guy as soon as like puck drop game 1 next year. I think there will, again, I'm going to be very interested to see who he's playing with, but it's always funny too, just looking at his track record the last 2 years, like winning literally everything that he is. I mean, riding with Dave Carl, like they just can't lose. It's insane. It's unbelievable. But yeah, no, just like a few of the conversations that you got, or a few of the players you guys talked about in that interview, like it was just like, it's always nice to get those guys on because there's so few people that we talk to who like actually invest a whole lot of time in like the prospect pools in general, like around the league. So it is cool because that's what I like trying to listen to or read about, just because like it changes not necessarily like opinions I have, but like the way that like I kind of like forecast players and stuff. So it was cool to listen to you guys talk about some of those guys. But yeah, the Buium thing's fascinating now. I'm still going to always be cautious about stepping into the NHL playoffs.
Yeah.
Right after college, but yeah, no, it was interesting.
We'll see. We will see. But for those of you listening, whether it's live or on podcast form, a lot more prospect talk dropping Wednesday, Fellowship of the Rink. So if you are listening, please check back in. It'll be on the Sota Pod feed. It'll be on Fellowship of the Rink. I mean, if you're a real beauty, you'll go and listen to both, but don't expect that. Otherwise, if you're watching live right now, on the other side, we will dive in and you'll see pretty much everything for that Wednesday episode besides the Scott Wheeler interview. See, you got any good quotes to drop here as we roll out? What's the last good movie you watched?
Oh, I haven't watched. Oh. No, I haven't really crushed any movies lately.
Bummer.
It's always tough.
Hang on. Eagles won because of the implication. That's just like I was sitting there like, what can I come up with from Always Sunny? And immediately my brain goes straight. That's the greatest minute, give or take, scene I've ever stumbled across in movie, TV series, anything. Dennis talking about the implication. It's so good.
Like, wait a minute. It sounds like you're like, wait, what? No. She's not going to say that because of the implication. The face, dude. It's just getting me every time.
Mac just like so confused, like, okay, I was following along until that last part.
That fucking show.
And then in the same episode, you've got Charlie talking about how he's going to jump into the water and carve up some delicious oysters or delicious barnacles.
Or rum ham. So it's good.
Rum ham!
Jeez.
Oh, okay. This is bad. I'm like reaming through several. This is all right. Ending it here. Everyone tune in Wednesday or right now if you're live for some Fellowship of the Rink. Welcome back for another installment of Fellowship of the Rink. Episode 51. We hit 50, which is weird. This This is brought to you by our incredible local friends in Waggle Golf, 9 Mile Brewing, and Barrel Theory Beer Company. No Joe Smith this week. He'll be in the interview here with Scott Wheeler, who I know, honestly, outside of our interviews with Russo recurring and Zeev Buium, highest viewed episode to date is the previous one with Scott Wheeler around the NHL draft. So you're welcome. But to fill in, I brought in Spoked Z of Boston, of Minnesota, of Sweden, of the last drop, so we could get some prospect talk and random nonsense per usual from us. Z, appreciate you taking the time, buddy.
Big fan of the show. Third time, long time listener, third time participant.
Matt's hard.
I don't know. Whatever, dude. This is always fun. It's just very different than Judd'z Budz, which is just kind of like chaos from start to finish.
Like we actually have design topics to get into. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I'm like thinking. I'm like, okay, where do I put my hands? Like, what do I do with my hands?
I think this week for Judd'z Budz, we spent the first 8, 9, 10 minutes talking about pizza and the Super Bowl. So if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, everyone go subscribe to Judd'z Budz. But yeah, we got a full episode here, even without Joe. We're going to start with a little bit of Gopher hockey talk per usual, but expand a little bit more to just greater college hockey. Then we're giving you another incredible interview sitting down with Scott Wheeler talking about the second ranked Minnesota Wild prospect pool. Then we're going to talk a little bit Minnesota Wild prospects, maybe sprinkle in a little bit of NHL draft prospects, and wrap things up with hot takes like we do every week, brought to you by our great friends at Barrel Theory Beer Company. See, let's talk bigger picture Gophers. I know you came out here, obviously, as everyone saw on socials, came out for the Michigan State weekend back in December, saw a lot of things from both teams, but generally speaking, like, what is the outsider's view of the Gophers this year? Like, is this a team that you think has more warts that we've seen recently and might be a scary team to bet on making the Frozen Four? Or is this one of those top 4 teams you're like, I don't see how they don't make it?
I mean, it's tough because, like, I would say probably 10 to 12 games in, my answer would have been completely different. But like you said, like the last couple of weeks specifically, there have been like some of those big time worry warts. There you go. We have just like some like defensive lapses in their game recently. Like the Michigan State one was a big outlier. And there have been a few weekends, again, I would say probably since I was out in Minnesota, where it's been like one really solid game and then one where it's like they kind of took the night off. But I mean, this past weekend, or well, I guess it was not this past weekend, 2 weekends ago, the Wisconsin series, they were really good. Like there was 2 big time games they really needed, especially after that Michigan State 9-3 pounding and then the 3-3 tie or whatever. But like they came out with a big response with a 5-2 win and a 4-1 win against Wisconsin back to back. Wisconsin, I think, is a really weird team to me. But I still think, just looking at big picture, like I would be confident with them making that Frozen Four. Like I really like how many different line combinations they can throw out, and especially when they went down with like half of their roster out. The fact that like, did they win every game? No, but like they compete hard. They give you a little bit of everything, and plus, like I just love Brody Zeemer, so I'm always going to be super high on the Gophers in general. But like I thought, their last 2 games against Wisconsin were the big time statement wins. Like they dominated. But it's interesting too. Look at some of the teams that are like, I think, were they 4th now in the country with Western Michigan right in front of them, and then Maine behind them, I think, in 5th overall.
Maine or Denver sitting there at 5-6, I'm pretty sure. And I think pairwise Gophers might even be 3, but by voting they're 4.
Yeah, that's it. Because I mean, like right behind them, it's Maine, Denver, Providence, Ohio State, and BU. Like, I still have the Gophers, I think, to be honest with you, like in a different tier. Western Michigan's fascinating. Like, they are a team, and like they can put up big time offensive numbers, and they play hard, and they are not fun to play. Because obviously, that barn is nuts too. That doesn't really factor in as far as like the Frozen Four goes, but like, but I'm still confident in Minnesota, especially if they can like just stay healthy. And like Snuggerud's really taken off after a quiet start to the season. He's kind of on a bit of a tear right now. He gets going and he plays like Hobie level. Like that is that's an X factor times 10. So, but yeah, no, I'm still am super high on the Gophers. Again, like, yeah, the last few weeks we've seen some warts that we maybe didn't see the first 10, 12 games, but I just think like how many different line combinations they can throw out on a given night and still like score at will, seemingly. I'm still confident in that team. They're so fun to watch, dude, when they're really going and that barn's rocking. Oh my god. Was it the Michigan series?
Dude, Wisconsin is the loudest I've ever heard it.
Sorry.
That was insane,
nuts,
dude.
That barn was nuts. Man.
Not and it's crazy too. After that game, the player for Wisconsin like trying to go with the fans, like, dude, what are you doing?
The fact that there were that many different incredible camera angles. I wasn't even mad at what's his face on Wisconsin. Like, that's so funny. Thank you for giving us this moment.
I wasn't mad. I was surprised.
Yeah, I was like, all right, that's a bold move. But again, thank you for giving us. Thank you for giving us this moment. Because there was like someone from right up top. There was someone from like behind, and he was just getting carved. Where you can see the people working the game too. Like, oh my god, it was so funny. Oh, it was great.
Yeah, definitely. Gotta ask then. I mean, unanimous right now on the USCHO polls. Boston College #1. You see them a lot more than a lot of our listeners. Like, it's obviously not the easiest to catch East Coast hockey if you're out here in Minnesota. How does Minnesota stack up against a BC in your mind? Like, are they in the same tier with like a little nudge to BC, or is BC like a rung above the Gophers at this point, in your opinion?
I don't know if like throwing out like a full on, like they're definitely, I wouldn't say they're on like a different level, but like especially right now, like the last 5 or 6 games, BC has been, I mean, like what Ryan Leonard, Gabe Perreault, and like some of those big dogs, like Hagens has really started to take off recently too. I mean, he's been good the whole time, but he's had a few games where he like took over. Like they just can kill you in like all 4 lines are ridiculously high end offense. Like Dean Letourneau, first round pick for BC, I think he plays like maybe 6 minutes a game, and he's just like running around, like killing guys. And then they pretty much use him like defensively, but like every once in a while you see his skill come out. Like a guy like Teddy Stiga since the World Juniors has been a beast too. Like they are just a terrifyingly good team. And then in net, they're unbelievable. Like it's one of those teams where it's just like game in, game out, you're like looking for a weakness, and it's just tough to find one. Like it's almost at the point where when I'm watching them, I'm like, the one criticism I have is like, I feel like, I don't know, the guys on the 3rd and 4th line can't really play a ton. Like can't play enough because like what Ryan Leonard is doing is terrifying. Like Gabe Perreault is like a cheat code. But like they just like legitimately have no glaring weaknesses. So it's just like you're just trying to search for ice time for some of these guys. And they are playing insane hockey right now. And I should have pulled up the score. They're playing the Beanpot right now against BU. Oh. That has not been a close tournament. I think BU won by 6. I think BC won by 7 last week. But they just score at will. It's like it's fun.
0-0, barely into the first as we record here on Monday night.
Nail
biter.
But again, I still think Minnesota though. It's that team. Like Minnesota does have that lineup where it's just like, again, they still have 4 lines that can hurt you. They can score. Then like obviously a guy like Sam Renzel's been a beast too, like on the back end. So he gives you a little bit of both ends of the ice. So I never, especially because it's college hockey, you can never just be like, oh, for sure thing, this team's on this level. once you get in like the top 6 or 7 teams, it's like everyone's right there.
And it's all single elimination that completely
Right, exactly.
changes things. And I mean, it's probably too simple to say this, but it's twofold for me, for the Gophers. Does goaltending hold up? Which, like, so far they've given us reason to believe, but it's still like you've seen every goalie either falter or completely carry their team. And then discipline, because like there are times where the Gophers get really heated, and at times it works in their favor. Like, dude, Brody Zeemer, who we both love, and like you watch the switch flip for him every time. He's like, I'm going to kill people. And it elevates his game. It channels him in a different way when things aren't going the right way offensively. But there's other guys that, like, you can tell, like, players get under their skin. They do stupid things. You can't afford to make those kind of decisions come postseason. But I think they're right in the mix, at least, as it sits right now. But 2 more topics here before we transition over to the Scott Wheeler interview. First one, and this is more of a rapid fire type concept, but there's a lot of guys that are like fringe decision on do they stay with the Gophers or do they leave, right? So rapid fire, tell me, are they here next year or do they go to their NHL team? And I'll give you a softball to start. Jimmy Snuggerud.
See ya. Next question.
Next question.
How good has he been though, dude? Like,
he's been
it's
so
crazy.
Yep.
Like the first however many was like honestly like 10 games in, we were like, I mean, he's still putting the points up, but we haven't really seen a game where he's like taking over. Even like the games against Michigan State that we both were there for, he had moments.
Moments is the key.
He looked like he was hesitating with the puck, but like the last couple of weeks, he was just like, no, give me that pill. Like, release like 12 shots a game.
Nope. This is the year that justifies him continuing to come back. And I don't see any way. Like, you know, God willing, they're in St. Louis. He's packing the biggest suitcase of anyone on the team, and he's not leaving.
Yeah.
Hopefully he likes deep fried ravioli. All right. Ryan Chesley.
Where do
you can pass? This isn't very rapid fire.
One more year. I don't know. He's like ready to go though. Where is he? New Jersey?
No.
Chesley? Oh yeah, that was dumb. No, I'll just not that. I mean, we've already lost the rapid fire part. I'll just say he's back for one more year.
Okay, sure. Sam Renzel.
Gone.
Yeah, I agree. Sadly.
Yeah.
If, as a Wild supporter, if you could have Snuggerud not be with the Blues or Renzel not be with the Blackhawks, which one would you ask for? That's a toughie.
I think like Renzel not being with the Black, like I like just the last 2 years of their drafting has made me furious.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's sickening. It's sickening.
Let's stay on that path. Oliver Moore.
I think I would say he's back. Like,
that's where I sit right now.
It's one of those ones where it's like, if you tell me he is gone, I'm like, all right. At the same time, I actually think it's the right decision for him to do one more year, to be honest with you. Just given where he's going to, like, I think he would be better served playing college hockey one more year. Again, he's like an undersized center. I mean, just one of the best skaters that we've seen in a long time. Like, he is so fun to watch. Again, another guy that I always say, like, I would pay to watch him bag skate. Like, he's one of those guys. But, like, I would love to just see a consistent season of him taking over games offensively a little bit. Because it's, again, he's another guy that we see flashes. And it's like, there it is. Like, that's in your wheelhouse to pull off more than, like, once every couple of games. Because, like, he's another guy. Like, when he does have, like, that moment, it's like, oh, there's the first round draft pick that we all knew was there. But in like on one of these rosters where you have guys like Snuggerud, Matthew Wood, it's always going to be tough, like his style of game in general. So sometimes it'll be tough for him to like pop up. Like recently, he's been real good too. What's he, 4th, 5th on the team in points now?
I don't know.
5th. There you go.
There you go. All right, we got 3 more because there's a lot that we could hit. But there's a couple that I kind of lean towards staying, but Connor Kurth's an interesting one. Does he join Tampa or not?
No, I'd probably say he comes back. Tampa's a weird one too, where like
knowing that I'm pretty sure they lose his rights if he doesn't go.
Oh, that's right. No, I forgot. He's got the yeah.
Same with Chesley too, and that's why I'm pretty sure Chesley will leave.
Yeah. I forgot Chesley was that old, honestly.
Now I don't know for this next one. I don't know if he's got one more year or not, but I also just don't know how they view him because he started the year awesome, and lately maybe there's a little bit more to be desired from the game. Kind of like Snuggerud light. Like when he shows up, he fucking shows up, but when he doesn't, like he's just kind of there. Brody Lamb, New York Rangers.
Let's see, this is his 2nd year?
He's a junior.
He's a junior.
But I'm pretty sure he came in true freshman.
Yeah, I think he did. I would lean stay.
Okay.
I feel like again another guy that would be like better served again, like just a little bit more consistency for a full season. I mean, he's not. I don't think, like you said, I don't remember where his rights are. He was drafted in 2021. Yeah, Rangers pick. Yeah, I mean, especially with where the Rangers are at in general, probably better for him to play one more year.
Here's the one that's really interesting to me, and my opinion has completely changed since like the day I found out he'd play here. Matthew Wood. Is he a Nashville Predator next year or even this spring?
That's another one too that we've definitely seen. Like, I feel like his ups and downs have been like, because when he's not on, it is maybe it's just because he's just every time I see him play hockey, he grows like 6 inches. I'm pretty sure. So maybe that's why it just stands out every time he does a great game or a bad game. I mean, at this point, he's played 3 years college hockey. He's probably going to go to Nashville next year. But like,
I don't know. I'm holding out hope. I think he'll come back again. He is so happy here.
That was the thing. He seems like he's loving it.
Dude,
but
that sit down for the interview, like he even talking to him after, he loves being here. He's like, this place rocks. Like this is awesome.
Yeah. And especially like this year, given the whole thing with like the World Juniors and then like an injury, like he hasn't really been able to like, because again, it felt like the start of the year, he was adjusting to that line. It was a fun line combo to start the year. And he still was putting up points and he was like almost looking for a spot. Yeah. Great bit. And then he got comfortable and like there were a few games he was just going off. And then the whole World Juniors thing, like I felt like really was a giant speed bump. And again, like it was funny when he came back for that second game against Michigan, say that we watched live. I was like, he's going to go off because he's pissed off. And I mean, it was just a tough one. So again, if he hadn't already played 3 years of college hockey, like honestly, he
came in early in fairness.
Oh yeah. He came in before like going into his draft year. He was a freshman at UConn. So maybe that factors in too, but I don't know. It feels like, you know what? I'm gonna go stay.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Right. Then last thing here, I asked you this earlier in the year. I feel like there's a way more solidified answer, and I feel like we'll both probably be mostly aligned. Dream Frozen Four this year in St. Louis. What are the 4 teams for the best Frozen Four or most enjoyable for you? And if it's just a Beanpot repeat, I'm disappointed based on how things went this year.
No. I would like BC, Minnesota. I'm trying to decide if I really feel like going Denver.
And
I really want to go say Western Michigan, to be honest with you, because it's just so fun. Like I just want them, those lunatics, and say
totally fair. To be honest, if I have to get Western Michigan in, I'm even gonna say BC gets upset because I need Zeev Buium and Charlie Stramel both playing there while the Gophers are there. And then, whether it's BC, Western Michigan, Maine, like any of them can filter in as number 4, and I'm pretty okay. BC would be cool just because, like, it would feel weird to win it without BC have been a part. Like, if they lose in the semis and then the Gophers beat whoever beat BC, I'm okay with that. But for BC to not even make it there, it would feel like I'm going to be just as excited if the Gophers somehow win it, but like, it would feel better if they were part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to have all of the Wild prospects. So Gabe Perreault, there we go.
He is.
Sorry, Alex Nicoletti.
You know who's been ridiculously good? I mean, they've been good all year, but like they've had a couple big time wins. This series this weekend was incredible with Arizona State, dude. My God, are they playing some fun hockey, dude? And that was it was Denver, both OT games this weekend. High scoring, like 1,000 miles an hour. That is a fun college hockey team. I love watching them play. Cullen Potter, 2025 draft.
Dude, but what if UNLV sneaks into the tournament? What's Denver going to do then?
That's true.
People forget. All right, we won't waste your guys' time anymore. With that, let's kick it over to draft prospect guru, Scott Wheeler. And those of you watching live, look behind the scenes. We just sit here and leave a little bit of a gap, and then we plop the interview in between, and it's nice and easy editing.
What an interview. That wasn't long enough.
Brilliant. No, not.
It wasn't even close.
All right, Z. We heard from Scott Wheeler. Obviously, he said some pretty horrible things about your opinion on prospects. Whatever, we can get over it. We can be adults about this. But no, seriously, everything he talked about, because you have listened to it, anything glaring that either like got your attention, like, oh, I didn't think about that, or I disagree, like what popped up specifically? We'll talk first about Minnesota Wild prospects.
No, I mean, again, we talked about this before we jumped on, but like it was funny. There were a few times where like, just given the fact that this is what he does for a living, and like sometimes I'm trying to figure out how exactly to say the thing that I'm watching. I can't like vocalize it. The Rasmus Kumpalainen part, legitimately, for anyone that's like listened to like Judd'z Budz before and talked about or like listened to the way we talk about like the prospects and stuff, I was like, yes, the fact that he was like, I can't figure him out because he is so slow, but like, what a player. I'm like, thank you, dude. It's insane. He goes half a mile an hour and he still gets through the neutral zone into the offensive zone, establishes possession, super smart player, really good defensively. Like he's a great player. The foot speed is going to be a big roadblock for him to get to the NHL. So it was just like funny. Like the fact that he literally was like, I just haven't been able to gauge. I forget how he like worded it exactly, but I was like, I said that. Thank you. I feel justified.
Is the foot speed fixable in your mind? Like, is that something he can work on and make a difference, or like we just got to deal with it?
I mean, like maybe marginal speed, but like again, it's literally the speed. It's not just the skating in general, because like he is a very agile. He's light on his feet as far as like how well he moves like east-west, but like the north-south game isn't there. And especially when you look at like how Minnesota likes to play, realistically, they like to play at pace, especially on that fourth line. Like we talked about like what the role that like Lauko was gonna play when he came in. Like we know how fast Huzadinov is. Like they like having that like 100 miles an hour north-south game in their bottom six, and Kumpalainen doesn't fit that, but he is just such a smart player. He's got ridiculous skill, and he's a really solid defensive forward.
And for me too, it's you can't have two Kumpalainens on a line, but if you've got two speedy guys with a Kumpalainen, you can make it work as long as everyone understands how they fit into that. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how he develops. Again, a reasonable swing in the draft where if we shuffle things around, I guess I don't know what order we're putting him in anymore between Mel and Kumpalainen, but like you're not mad getting those three guys in the first two rounds. I'm going to just go down Wheeler's top 15 list, and you stop me when there's like a moment where you don't have to like say like, oh, screw him, like this is wrong, but more like where you would raise your hand and be like, I don't know. Number 1, Zeev Buium, who was number 2 in his entire list, which is awesome, behind Z, your draft crush, Ivan Demidov. Number 2, Danila Yurov. Number 3, David Juracek. Number 4, Jesper Wallstedt. Which, do you remember Isha throwing an absolute temper tantrum when I put Wallstedt at 3 or 4 in our summer rankings? Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth. Isha, please don't edit that out. Thank you.
Keep it.
Number 5, Liam Ogren. Number 6, Riley Heidt. Number 7, Marat Huznadinov. Number 8, Charlie Stramel. Oh, wait, were you going to stop me?
Well, so like having Huznadinov there, again, I don't even know if he really counts as a prospect, but like in the interview too, it was interesting listening to him and Joe both talk about like, yeah, we've talked about this before offline. Like there have been times this year where it's like he probably would be benefiting playing the AHL. But then obviously like we've seen what he's been doing the last like 6-7 games or whatever, and it's like there's that offensive player. And like, dude, that game against Montreal, oh my god, like I forget who he put in a spin cycle and just broke their ankles. Then he like lined up Hudson, which was funny, and just like obliterated him. I was like, oh my god, this was like his second to last year in ska version of Huznadinov that we've been seeing. That's like comfortable with the puck and looking to make plays. Again, I think he's third, fourth line guy in general, but like we're seeing the offensive upside. But Huznadinov slotting in there specifically is like, I guess where not necessarily it's like disagreement. It's more so just like what value you're putting.
How are you making these evaluations?
Right. Where it's like, hey, is this based on like, I think he is going to be a full-time NHL player versus like, hey, what's the upside there? So I think again, like Huznadinov to me screams like third, fourth line, center, wing, doesn't matter. He can play again, another guy in this pool that can play all 3-4 positions. Probably like maxes out at like 35, maybe 40 points, 45 points, like maybe like a half a point per game guy. So that's where it just gets like interesting where you like put value into, or like when you're ranking the prospect pool in general. It's like, again, I don't even know if we can even.
Is it how guaranteed are they to be in any? Right. Is it how high can they ascend? Is it how
it's like floor versus it's the whole floor versus ceiling thing, right? So that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah, totally. So okay, for you then, however you want to twist the rationale, who would be your number 7? We got 1 through 6, and I feel like we're all pretty comfortable with that order. In fact, I might even quabble 5 versus 6, but that's just like we probably won't know until Riley Height's here.
Mm-hmm. He's
kind of just like cemented in time because, dude, if he could have played for the Gophers this year, I would have done horrible things to make that date move up. But who's your 7?
I might put Hunter Haight there, which by the way, that was another
like that.
It was another funny part where like even Scott was starting to say Hunter Haight. And I was like,
yeah,
he has the I was like, one of us.
He kept on saying height. I'm like, oh yes, people are going to be so confused, and I love this.
They might get irrational.
Anthony LaPanta is going to point back at this and be like, "See, it's not just me."
Yeah, but it's funny though. Like again, like his explanation when he did get to Hunter Haight, like where he put him, like it was all reason. Like, it was it's fascinating because like you see the flashes of the skill like since he was like his draft year, and since then it's just like he's always found himself in these situations. Like in Saginaw, they load up at the deadline and go out and win the Mem Cup, and he's asked to play like a middle six like complimentary role. So, you know who else was Michael Lisa, who is now like just ripping apart the OHL, but like
who might play for the Gophers.
It's interesting too, like coming into that year, like we talked about it on here, like we talked about it like watching him at like dev camp too, like he might go out and rip up the OHL. Obviously it doesn't start great in Barrie, and then he moves over to Saginaw and it's better, but like he's always just been, you're just like wanting to see more because there's flashes of that skill. You see the upside, it's just not consistent, or like a guy that's taking over games. And again, the big concern is like, hey, can he be like a scoring winger? Because then he's probably got more upside as far as like, can he be a guy that like you can plug into that top six? Again, like I don't think we've seen consistency to the point where you can like have confidence that it's like he can drive a line.
Do you feel like he's second line or bust almost? Like I don't see Hunter Haight being a first liner, but also I don't know for sure yet. I could be proven wrong, but I don't know if he fits like the traditional third line identity. He's very stapled at that second line, and it's like he's either going to fit perfectly or he's going to be trade fodder.
Right. And it's the thing too, it's like technically he's a center. He's a 5'10" guy that's like, he's got really good details. Again, he can skate really well. He's got great hands. We just haven't seen him really like consistently shown that he can be someone that drives your offense game in, game out. So like if he can like be a third line scoring winger, I think there's still a path there. But like that's the other thing with the prospect pool in general. There are so many players that like, you know, that it's in their bag to do that. But like it might be a situation where it's like we have a lot of players, a lot of prospects and young players who you can like plug in when needed. And it's the same thing when we talk about guys like Yurov. Like, do you really want to pencil him as like a out and out number one center? Probably not. Like a lot would have to go right for him to like for that to be a possibility, or like to be that like an outcome. But you do have a group of players in your pool and young players already in Minnesota that can get it done by committee.
Yeah,
at a level that like there are probably, I don't really know if there are any other like franchises that can say that. Like, is a diverse prospect pool with like a ton of guys that maybe you pencil in as like, yes, there's like the Zeev Buiums who projects to be like the top of like the very top of their position. But like a lot of guys that it's like, yeah, they might be like the next rung.
A lot of guys fighting for the same spot.
Well, they do it by committee. And again, if you set, as long as you like lock up Kaprizov for 8 years, they're like, he's good at whatever line he's on, he's driving that offense anyway. Like, whether it's a center, like that's where like, it's like, yo, also lock Rossi up at that point because you don't need him to be a number one seed, but he can play with Kaprizov and like he's gonna score. But like Hunter Haight, that's what's interesting with him. Honestly, like I could say the same thing about Riley Heidt, where it's like I still don't know when he gets to the NHL. I don't know if he's gonna play center. Like, will he be better served like playing outside and just like playmaking wing?
Right.
But yeah.
No, it'll be interesting. Well, let's round it out. So 7, Susan 8, Charlie Stramel, 9, Ryder Ritchie, 10, Aaron Kiviharu, best fucking steal that Bill Guerin's ever had. 11, David Spacek. 12, Mikey Milne. He's probably next week. Our interview's dropping with him. Awesome guy. Very excited for y'all to listen to that. 13, Carson Lambos. 14, Hunter Haight. 15, Aaron Pionk. And he said if it extended to 16, it would be Caden Bankier. Is there anyone for you that isn't mentioned in that top 16 we'll extend it to now that you feel got slighted, or a guy that you could make an argument should be in the top 16? Or is that list pretty solid?
No, like especially watching all of these guys this year, I would say that's probably like pretty close to where I'd be aligned. Again, shout out how like Aaron Pionk, how good he's been, like the second half of the college season so far. He's just been so good for Duluth.
Second half has been very good to both him and Max Plant.
It was very interesting listening to the conversation about Bank here though, because it's like technically yes, he just misses out on this, like in the top 15 or whatever. And like, yeah, if it went to 16, he'd be there. But he's like, but he also said, like, do I think you could like take him out of the AHL and like go ask him to play like a role right now in the NHL? Yeah, he probably could do that right now. So like, that's where it's always interesting too, where it's like we talked about putting Huzadinov that high in the pool, like in his rankings, I mean. And it's like you have a question about the upside or whatever, but like he is more than filling a role like fine right now. But then it's also like Bankier misses out on that top 15. But could he play right now in the AHL and like play a couple games? Yeah, he could fill if you're with how fucking injury riddled the Wild are in general. Like it was just interesting to hear him talk about like Bankier that way too. And again, like it's always tough too when he's talking about like the Iowa guys because like that was another thing I laughed at. He's like, I mean, the defense in front of Wallstedt has just been, I mean, not great. It's like, yeah,
could be better.
It's like, yeah, could be significantly better. But like it was always like so he mentioned Caden Banker. He's like, yeah, hasn't like shown that offensive like totally that offensive pop yet in the AHL. It's like a little bit of context, like. Last year, he misses the first however many games because he got injured in that Mem Cup run for Kamloops. And then he came in, he was like right at like half a point per game, which is like top 5 for Iowa. It's like a half a point per game, guys, like top 5, 6 points on the team. But the same thing with like Hunter Haight too. Like Hunter Haight's been ridiculously good, despite the fact that he's like just under half a point per game right now in Iowa. So it's always interesting, like listening to like him talk about the guys in Iowa, knowing it's like there's a level of expectation that you can have for like it's really not a great environment for those prospects in general. Just like they've been so bad.
Yeah, it's tough.
But yeah,
nope, that's fair. Real quick then, before we talk briefly, NHL draft and then get into hot takes. 9 Mile Brewing. This past weekend, they had their 3rd anniversary. These guys are awesome. Not only will they have a kitchen coming out here in the next couple of weeks, they just got pull tabs in recently, which, Z, I know that's like a weird phenomenon to you, but I promise you, pull tabs are incredible.
I know.
Go ahead.
No, so yeah, I love them. Yeah.
They're awesome. Really good spread of beers, like top to bottom. Like they've got whatever style you need, and our boy John, head brewer, crushes all of them. Just was out there for the anniversary, and they had 2 new beer releases. They had like a coconut oatmeal stout, only like a 6%er, pretty easy drink, delightful. They also had a rye porter, barrel aged, like every little bit you could do, and also delicious, even though I don't really typically like rye beers. And my wife's favorite, the staple there, IPA. Current obsession. But for any of the nerds that listen to Fellowship of the Rank, they literally have like Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. They've got decorations all over. I caught my little 1-year-old like literally looking up, staring and pointing at it was like Spider-Man fighting the Green Goblin, just hanging from the ceiling. Yep. You know the point, Z. You know the point. But everyone get out to the first and only tap room in Bloomington, 9 Mile Brewing, and be watching out for their events too. The Crokinole tournaments rock. Crokinole is the coolest. Anyone that hasn't played, Krokinole, super fun. Apparently it's a Canadian game. I don't know. That's news to me, but that's what I'm told. We're running with it. Get out there, support our awesome friends over at 9 Mile Brewing. Z,
is it a cool game?
It's cool.
Yeah, it can't be Canadian. It can't be.
Curling's also cool, contrary to belief.
Damn it, that's a good point. All right. Damn it.
Doesn't seem like it either. A lot of people try and argue it's not. I think that
we lose again.
USA won, so they're like, "Oh, it's not cool anymore." Dude, that was I stayed up for that entire thing. It was like 3:30 in the morning when it was over, and I
that's the best.
Over in the other corner of my room, I've got the Matt Hamilton bobblehead. And that guy's a rock star. Even though, sadly, he is the only Wisconsin member of the team. That's a little sad.
We can overlook that.
You know what? Phil Kessel transferred from Wisconsin to Minnesota. Hamilton can do the same. We support it. NHL draft. I just want to real quick, because I didn't get too deep into it because we were running out of time and Joe shifted us over to Wild Talk. we only got through the top 4, and he basically only mentioned, because him and Corey Proman both have this feeling. You had Caleb Desnoyers at 10, but this was like 3 or 4 weeks ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree that he's in that top 4, top 5 now, or do you still have any reservations on his game, given that he plays in what Isho will designate the Forgotten League, the QMJHL?
No, I mean, well, first of all, he's for sure going top 10 because he's one player that's like, with how this draft class is starting to shape out now. Again, like right now we've got our like, it was funny listening to him like go through like, yeah, that the top 4 is pretty much right at this point. Yeah, I think everyone has the same top 4. And then him, Proman, and like I think it was Button had Desnoyers.
Proman actually has Desnoyers top 4.
Yeah, he does. And it's like
Proman does now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's it's always funny too, like 6'1.5" center, but like just a really, really reliable two-way game. He's everywhere that he's played, he's won. Like Moncton and the Q is just, I mean, they eviscerate everybody. Like they like, I mean, almost every game. I think they've lost twice this year, maybe, but like they're easily the best team in the Q. He might be top 3 players in the Q right now too, but he plays such a reliable game. I think at the NHL level, you might have questions about just how high that like upside is as far as like the offensive standpoint. But like when we talked about, or like just somehow linking this to the Wild, like the way coaches talk about someone like Caden Bankier is the same way they talk about Desnoyers, but he's got like more upside than Bankier, obviously. But like he's definitely going top 10 for sure. He's probably going to be close to, he's probably going honestly between 5 and 7. Like you're just getting such certainty with him, the super high floor. He's an incredibly smart player, super reliable. And he's like showed a level of offense this year that we haven't seen before. And like everywhere he plays, he wins. Like not just the Cube, like Team Canada too. Whatever team he's on, they win gold. Like, and he's a leader. Like, he's been ridiculously good this year, and he's very fun to watch. So it didn't surprise me at all that like he was like Desnoyers was the guy that he brought up as like someone that could potentially
and
with like
and
right
Roger McQueen, which like, we've said like healthy, he's.
Well, he was in the, when we did the first way too early ranking that we did, he was in like it was.
I think you had him like
plus
6
Frondell.
at that point, right?
Yeah, I think I had him because I think I had him. I think I had East Wozniak at 6, which was what a mistake that was.
I mean,
sorry,
we're going to talk about mistakes. Let's talk about Ivan Ryabkin.
Yeah, he's doing real well in the USHL right now, though.
Better.
Yeah, but like we had McQueen there in the top 5 when we did the way too early one in the summer.
Yeah,
he just hasn't played. If he gets back, that's the thing. Like he might not play again for several months, which like that's always.
But it'll still be drafted accordingly.
Yeah.
All right. So your top 10 again. This is 3 or 4 weeks ago, so I'm giving you room to correct. But you had Matthew Schaefer 1, James Haggins, Michael Misa, Porter Martone rounding out your first tier, your top 4. Then you had Jackson Smith, Victor Eklund, Anton Frondell, Roger McQueen, Lyndon Lakovich, and Caleb Desnoyers. Is there anyone right now with what you've watched the past couple weeks that you're like, this guy should absolutely have been in my top 10? Like, who's your one guy that
Carter Bear
snubbed? Carter Bear? Okay. Everett Silvertips, WHL. Talk about him.
Yeah, it's just such a good all-around player. But again, another guy this year that's unlocked this offense that is just like he can score. He sets his teammates up. He like hits everything that moves. And like him on the forecheck is another guy that will just run you through the glass, take the puck, and then either just like set up a scoring chance for someone else, or they've established some offensive zone possession. But like such a good all-around player, and the level of violence that he plays with composure, like not going over the line, taking dumb penalties. He is like, for whatever reason, I thought I did put him in the top 10. What did I put him? 11, 12? 13?
You got him 12.
12? Yeah. I probably put him in that top 10 there. And like, again, like I love Frondell. Probably,
Do you love him
put him there to
because
love.
he's Swedish? Like, do
No,
you
I just
feel
watched him for
obligated?
so long. I've watched it like I watched him for. I mean, this is like the 4th year where it's just like he's so fun to watch. But it just might be one of those cases where it's like he's bigger, more athletic than everyone else.
Yeah.
And then everyone catches up. I mean, he's still playing really well, especially now in the Allsvenskan. He's put up some points lately, but I probably put Cutter Bear in the top 10. Since I didn't, apparently.
No. Reasonable. That brings us then, Z, to our final segment here every week on Fellowship of the Rank. Keyboard Warriors hot take segment brought to you by our incredible friends at Barrel Theory Beer Company. And I know we've got a little bit of a lull here now with Four Nations and everyone's coming off of their BS with Dry January, but get out and support them in tap room if you can right now. Obviously, once we're back at the X, you know where you can find them. But I'll remind you anyways. Crowler of the Day, Section 105, and Raindrops, delicious flagship IPA on tap, Sections 112, 217, and C36. Z, you had the Crowler of the Day when you were out here for that Wild game against Edmonton. What'd you think?
What's above an A+?
A plus plus? Yes. A swirly symbol, star? I don't know.
All the above.
Yeah, I like it. No, Mario. You get the flower that shoots fire. That's what it is. Oh, all right. We're back to Judd'z Budz.
Yeah, we're doing. Damn it. Joe's gonna be pissed.
This week's hot takes, again, brought to you by our incredible friends at Barrel Theory Beer Company. First and foremost, Z, my hot take, this is a personal one. Judd Brackett will be making a first-round selection this year.
Okay.
You look at the prospect pool, you hear everything that you and Scott Wheeler have just said about it, and you look at how like clustered it is, right? The age groups within a couple of years, you see where the team's currently at, the transition. There's talk about bringing in Brock Nelson, Brock Besser, anyone named Brock Lesnar maybe, and they are just so deep in their pool. Number 2 per Scott Wheeler. Guerin's going to use some of those pieces to take swings. He's going to know who is part of his perceived future and who's not. I really hope Marco Rossi's not also part of that ammunition, but who knows? But I think something happens to get back into the first round, whether it's done here before the trade deadline or maybe it's a reverse 2024 draft where we basically said we would trade away our pick if our guy wasn't there. Maybe it's this year we tell a couple of teams like, hey, if our guy's there, we'll give you this. And be ready to jump on Judd's guy, right? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I wouldn't. I guess I could see it. I'm just wondering what.
You can tell me I'm
like,
dumb. Like,
well, no, like when you said first round, like when you were like, my immediate reaction was, oh, that means Rossi.
Yeah. I hope not, but
because like I look at like the prospects that they have.
All right, hang on. Hear me out. Literally pick any prospect that they're willing to trade away, which I don't know who Guerin feels that is. Prospect, another pick somewhere, and Ryan Hartman going to a team like Tampa Bay. Like, does that not feel like a possibility? Maybe some retention in there. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but I feel like Bill Guerin's not going to sit pat and keep this entire prospect pool when they're all clustered together. Almost like, do we worry about becoming the Buffalo Sabres where we just have like a prospect pool that's all clones? And I don't think we have that at all. It's more just like there are redundancies that Bill Guerin sees. Will he trade one or two of those redundancies and try and get back in and give Judd something to give us something even further down the line? Because you got to have it tiered and stacked, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just like play around with. So I just pulled up their full pool, and it's like, do you go? Like, would you lean towards like someone who might be close to like cracking the lineup this year, next year? That's just like there's no room, and realistically, one of the guys they drafted this year, last year, is probably ahead of them. Like at that point, like that would yell to me like Caden Bank here, Riegler Renz.
I don't see them being as valuable. Like I think it's gonna be a bigger piece than that moves.
Well, I'm saying I'm just looking at the prospects, like Hunter Haight. I mean, like
I see players like Haight and Height being at the front of that list. Maybe even Ogren. Like I think out of those
I've been surprised how much trade talk has been come up. Yeah, the Ogren thing has been interesting to me. Where I was just like, I'm surprised how often I hear him come up. I mean, like I get it as far as like whenever I see like fans floating out trade ideas for like big time players or whatever. It's like whatever. They don't have the first round pick now, but like
one part
before
of it
was like first Ogren and then pick your roster player or whatever. Because I mean he's obviously got tremendous value.
Yeah. But also the fact that Guerin has set up the roster in a way that there's not spots. Like there are 3 spots open, and both all of Huznadinov, Rossi, Ogren need to be factored into those 3 openings. It's like I could see him being moved just because they're not in a spot where like timing doesn't line up. I don't know. I don't want him gone. I'm not advocating for it. I could see it. I don't know.
That's where I was going with that. Was just like I was surprised how many, like whenever like whatever, whether it's like a Russo mailbag or what, like just people throwing out trade ideas in general, how many people would throw Ogren into that mix? Like
I don't like it.
Not with much backlash at all. That was like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, I could see it because he does have a ton of value.
NHL yet. A lot of fans don't even know.
Yeah.
Right? His hair, though, immaculate.
Unbelievable hair.
No, they all want him gone because they heard that he likes Marcus Johansson. That's all it is.
He's his friend,
it's that simple.
Buddy,
This one's going to be really quick, but producer of Judd'z Budz and super fan of Fellowship of the Ring, Mateo, he says, hot take, it should be NHL or NCAA for Height next year. No more WHL. I mean, that's a very, very lukewarm, cold take, don't you think? Is there any world where you see him back in the WHL next year? Is it even an option?
No, there's not really a point in going back.
And at this point, since he can go, I feel like it's AHL, NHL, wherever he lands. I would, again, if he played for the Gophers.
Well, I guess that's what he's saying. Don't send him to the A? Or will he say? I guess
no, that's fair. Okay, he says NHL or NCAA, no A. All right, Mateo. I can. That's hot. I guess that's lukewarm, kind of warm. He'll be in the AHL, but I respect the hotness of the take now. I guess
I also think the AHL would be better than him going to the NCAA, anyways. Like if he was to somehow transferred to the college hockey.
Gophers, I disagree.
Never mind. That's a great fit. It's actually the best pit. That's the best place he could possibly go play.
Especially if Matthew Wood goes back. All right, moving on. This one will be quick, but a hot take on. I guess we got 2 Four Nations hot takes here. First one, Quinn Hughes' injury is a positive.
That's insane.
Because Four Nations doesn't mean shit, like we've talked about on Judd'z Budz and just in general off camera. And I like Jake Sanderson, even if he's the number 7 guy, getting in and getting a taste, because he's a guy that by the time we get to the Olympics, he could be a top 6 guy. And I like him being included in the mix when we know Quinn Hughes is going to be part of that mix. And who cares about Four Nations? That's the stance. Go.
Yeah, when you put it so like it's more of a there's this bright side versus no, this is great. I mean, to be honest with you, I would have just rather have him make it in the first place over Hanifin. So there you go.
So there's all right. Spoke Z hot take.
Yeah.
Hanifin shouldn't be on the team. He's a bum, especially because he plays with that minivan douchebag.
Probably friends with the minivan man.
Dude, he probably bought a minivan and he didn't have a choice. He didn't want it.
Sick.
He was just told, he's like, dude, if you want to be here, you better get one.
He makes me sick.
Here's the other one, and I'm bummed because Jeff Merrick kind of cucked this one from me, even though I've been sitting on it. He said it for Canada, but I'm going to say it for Team USA. Team USA should sandbag the Four Nations. They should go full 1980 Miracle and let everyone beat the crap out of them when they're expected to be the juggernaut right now, so they can come in the Olympics and be the overlooked underdog.
I mean,
because Four Nations doesn't matter. Again,
no, Four Nations,
I emphasize Four Nations is bullshit.
I'd be down for that if that meant that we were getting like very fun youth movement roster.
Right.
But here's the thing. It is asinine for anyone. More. It's asinine for anyone to suggest that like Canada's on a different level than the United States in general in hockey.
Like on a lower level?
No, that's not asinine.
That's my point. No, that's my point. Canada is not my point is USA is the team to beat, and I want to erase that narrative going into the Olympics, which is what matters. And here's Cole chiming in because we are live here at the end of Judd'z Budz. Hot take: Russia would. I'm going to say we're going to insert the word win. Russia would win this Four Nations tournament if they were in it as a Five Nations face-off.
We can ad-lib since he left that win. We can ad-lib.
Yeah. Also, the fact that
Russia would lose every game of this Four Nations.
No. Russia, every game you would smash the over.
Yeah, dude.
Smash the over. It's going to be a 7-6 game every time. It's happening. It's going to be. We know it. Their defense sucks. Even though their goaltending is awesome, like their three goalies might be better than the three U.S. goalies, but their blue line is so bad. Their team is all offense, no defense. It would be an absolute boat race, and it would be so fun. But, yeah, we're not going to have Russia back anytime soon, sadly. Z, my last one here. The headline of it is, the Carolina Hurricanes were not the winner of the Mikko Rantanen trade.
Oh, well, actually, I'm glad.
Do you want to hear the follow-up?
Yes.
Colorado Avalanche technically weren't either. Martin Necas was the winner of the Mikko Rantanen trade because that boy is going off. Him and Nathan McKinnon erased, deleted, does not care about Mikko Rantanen's phone number anymore. He loves Marty Necas, and I think both teams, like, it's a reasonable trade. I think you can still argue that Avalanche could have and should have gotten more, and that the Carolina Hurricanes got an incredible player, even though things haven't been great early on. Marty Necas is living his absolute best life. He's going to make a good amount of money. He's probably going to sign for like 9 or 10 mil and just be happy living in Colorado and playing with Nathan McKinnon. He wins this trade.
Yes, he does. Again, especially assuming he stays. But like, again, when we talked about this trade on, I keep forgetting this is Fellowship now. When we talked about this on Judd'z Budz, like, I kept saying, like, the big reason I was like, yeah, I thought Rantanen would have got more as far as like picks or whatever or something like that. But like, I am so high on Marty Necas, and just watching him those first few games, it was insane. And then this week, every game that he's played in so far with Colorado, like,
good for him.
He has like the last couple of years, he's obviously taken several steps forward, but like the fact that he stepped in first shift in Colorado and like looked like he got even better, that power play with him on it. Oh my God. Because the thing with him is he's obviously an incredible skater. And that's the thing that's fascinating is like watching him and McKinnon play together. They both can fly with the puck, where it's just like, okay, like we were already like scared of playing Colorado because they can play like cocaine hockey, where it's just like 1,000 miles an hour up and down the ice. And by the way, they have like the best forward in the league playing defense in Cale Makar.
Yep.
It's like unbelievable to watch. But like Natchez is signed for, I forget what he's making this year and next year, and he's not going to be making 14-15 million like
Rantanen
in the first place.
No, totally. And
that's why it's like this is a more than reasonable. Like getting Marty Natchez as a return is a huge.
It's
piece.
great, but also he's seen the other side. Like anyone that wants to say like, oh man, did Carolina mess up? Like the relationship was burned. He wasn't going to be there long term. They did the bridge for a reason to get a deal like this, and he's seen that the grass can be very green where he's at and less green elsewhere. And he'd be crazy to not take a reasonable bargain, like somewhere in that, like, again, 9-10 mil range if he keeps on doing what he's doing, to stay and play with McKinnon, be in a place where he's wanted and happy. I think it works out well for him and the Avalanche, unless he just gets super greedy and says, I'll just take whatever the highest bidder is. And in that case, he deserves it when it goes poorly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. And the thing with what's interesting too, like with Rantanen, is like it's fascinating hearing how many people, not just like whatever, like the Twitter bullshit nonsense, but like people that are plugged in are like, no, like there is legit zero guarantee that Rantanen does re-sign in Carolina. But like, especially if they know that he's probably not going to re-sign there, how fucking nervous are they going to be this whole tournament now that he's playing? Like he's 50-50 whether or not he's healthy, good to go for Team Finland right now. And then the Finnish coach is like, oh, he's playing Thursday. He's fine. Like if you're Carolina, you got to be like, oh God, oh no. They're going to be freaking out because like he's been like, he's had a knock for a little bit here. And like, it sounded like there was a real chance he was just not going to play in this tournament because he was hurt.
But it's also funny
the
though.
Finnish coach was like, no, he's good.
But it's also funny because they had to have thought like, oh yeah, him going and playing in this tournament with Aho, that gives us a little chance to like nuzzle in nice and good.
Well, they're best friends already anyways.
They're best friends already. He already lost Nathan McKinnon's phone number. Like it's all done. No, it'll be interesting, but all right. Well, that's a good roundup of hot takes. Again, brought to you by our incredible friends, Barrel Theory Beer Company. Go out to East 7th. They're absolutely worth the stop, whether you're out there for Minnesota Wild games or just out there for good beer. Z, we did it. We got through it. We did the thing. And should give a shout out everyone that wants more prospect talk, whether that's Minnesota Wild prospects or NHL draft. Please subscribe to the Judd'z Budz podcast feed, or just check out everything we do on the Sota Pod YouTube channel. But also give some love to our friends MNCAA. Every Monday we drop Gopher hockey talk with our boys Drew Cove and of course Nate Gopher State. But also Thursday we've got Max Veach, who is very, very rational and calm about how UMD is doing. And our boy Nick Maxon covering St. Cloud. Then we've got Isha, producer of this show, and Brett Marshall doing a analytics-focused show, Wildly Informed, also on the Sota Pod podcast feed. And you all know where to find Fellowship of the Rank. All good. Love you guys. Appreciate you listening. Joe's not back next week. I'll try and find someone else so I don't have to drag Spoked Z through this again. But we'll catch you next week. I don't have much else to say. Appreciate you.